September 2016. A phone catches fire on a Southwest Airlines flight. Passengers scream. Crew members leap into action. The device is ejected from the cabin, released down the lavatory waste chute, and ignites again in the trash compartment below the cabin. The plane makes an emergency landing. This isn't some freak accident. This is the beginning of the most catastrophic product failure in modern technology history. And it's about to cost Samsung $5 billion. Within days, the images start flooding social media. A burned kitchen counter. A teenager's charred smartphone melted into his bedding. A customer in China whose Note 7 exploded in his pocket so violently it scorched his body. Videos of phones literally erupting in people's hands like small grenades. Samsung didn't have a bug on its hands. It had a bomb in every box it shipped. By October, 35 countries had banned the Galaxy Note 7 from commercial flights. The FAA made it official. The airline industry moved in lockstep. You couldn't take this phone anywhere, literally anywhere. Airports seized them at security checkpoints. International carriers refused to transport them. $100 million worth of inventory became completely unmarketable overnight. Samsung's stock price didn't just dip. It crashed. Investors fled. And the company was forced to do something that had never happened to a major smartphone manufacturer at that scale. They killed the entire product line. Not a recall, not a fix, a complete death. Every single Galaxy Note 7 pulled from shelves worldwide, destroyed, incinerated, wiped from existence.
But here's what makes this so much worse than just a bad product. Samsung knew this was coming, not a vague suspicion. Not an internal memo someone missed. The company had direct evidence that their flagship phone was a disaster waiting to happen. And they sold it anyway. They doubled down. They released replacement devices that caught fire even faster than the originals. They lied to regulators. They covered tracks. And by the time the truth came out, the damage was irreversible. So how does a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars manufacture a consumer product that actually burns people and then proceed to sell millions of them? You have to go back to 2015 when Samsung made a decision that would destroy billions in shareholder value. The Galaxy Note series was the crown jewel of Samsung's phone business. These weren't just phones. They were massive, expensive, premium devices that older executives and business professionals carried as status symbols. The Note 6 had been a massive hit. Samsung was riding high. Market share was climbing. They owned the Android space. But Apple wasn't sleeping. The iPhone 6s was gaining traction. Microsoft was pushing the Surface. Competition was heating up. And Samsung's leadership made a call that would later look insane. They decided that the Galaxy Note 7 needed to be thinner, faster, and packed with more features than anything the competition had. That meant a bigger battery to power all these new features. But here's the problem. They also wanted it thinner than the Note 6, thinner than the iPhone, thinner than anything else in the market. This creates an immediate engineering conflict. Bigger battery, smaller space. Something has to give. Samsung had two battery suppliers at the time, Samsung SDI and a Chinese firm called Amperex Technology Limited. Neither supplier had actually proven they could fit a massive battery into such a thin chassis safely. Samsung's engineers knew this. Multiple quality control reports flagged it. Internal memos warned that the battery cells were so densely packed and the device was so thin that there wasn't enough breathing room. The slightest manufacturing defect could create an internal short circuit. And when that happens in a lithium-ion battery, you don't get a malfunction. You get thermal runaway, uncontrolled heat, followed by fire. The engineering team recommended doing more testing. Longer lead times, a safer design. Management said no. The marketing department was already making promises. The launch date was set. Investors expected it. The quarterly targets were locked in. There was no time to be careful. Samsung was going to release this phone whether the battery was ready or not. Some design engineers actually protested internally. They knew what was going to happen. They were overruled. This is where corporate pressure meets physics, and physics always wins. The Galaxy Note 7 launched in August 2016 with all the fanfare you'd expect for a flagship device. Samsung threw billions at marketing. The tech press was largely positive. Early reviews were strong. And then, almost immediately, the fires started. First, it was isolated reports. A phone burning in someone's pocket. Another device catching fire while charging at night. Reddit threads popped up. Tech forums filled with discussions. Samsung initially dismissed these as isolated incidents, statistical noise, but the reports kept coming, and they were accelerating. Within weeks, not dozens but hundreds of customers were reporting their Note 7s were smoking, overheating, or catching fire. Some people were hospitalized with burns. Some had property damage. One family's house nearly burned down because their Note 7 ignited next to their bed while they were sleeping. Here's where Samsung made their second fatal mistake. Instead of immediately pulling the product and investigating, they announced a recall. But they didn't actually shut down sales. They just offered to swap out the defective units. Customers could get a replacement Note 7 right away. The company assured everyone the new units were safe. They tested them. The problem was fixed. This was a calculated decision. If they halted sales completely, the financial hit would be catastrophic. Quarterly earnings would tank. The stock price would crater. Executives' bonuses would evaporate. So Samsung chose profits over safety. The second wave of replacement units burned faster than the first wave. We're talking about phones catching fire within days of replacement. The FAA started receiving incident reports. Airlines started documenting fires. The problem wasn't with individual batteries. The entire manufacturing process was flawed. Samsung was churning out defective batteries and slapping them into phones because they couldn't afford the delay. Quality control wasn't just loose. It was non-existent at scale. They were mass-producing devices they knew were faulty, and they were telling customers those devices were safe. By early October, the situation had become undeniable. The FAA issued a formal warning. Airlines started seizing the phones. Passengers weren't allowed to carry them. The media frenzy hit full force. Major news outlets were running stories about exploding smartphones. Samsung's brand reputation, built over decades, was evaporating in real time. The company finally announced a complete global recall on October 10, 2016. But it was already too late. Regulators in 30 countries opened investigations. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission launched a formal inquiry. Samsung was forced to issue multiple statements acknowledging that the battery was the culprit. They had to admit that improper manufacturing by their suppliers had caused flaws in the battery cells. They announced they would scrap every single unit. The estimated cost would be $5.3 billion. That's not profit loss. That's actual cash burnt. Money that had to be written off. Factories idled. Inventory destroyed. Legal fees accumulating. But it wasn't over. Oh no, it was just starting. The lawsuits came. Class action suits from angry customers who'd been burned or had property damage. Suits from airlines claiming they suffered losses when they had to manage the crisis. Suits from retailers who got stuck with worthless inventory. Samsung's own executives were facing criminal charges in South Korea for violating consumer protection laws. The question of who knew what and when became everything. Internal documents were subpoenaed. Emails were examined. Texts between executives were analyzed.